Hey, we are live. It is HAMTAGgery is in progress. I'm going to start calling it HAMTAGgery, just so you know. And like Patreon fans, Patreon supporters, I think I'm going to call them HAMTAGgers.
There you go.
I don't know. We're going to just keep stringing that theme out as far as I can go. All right. Let me see if we've got nobody's in yet, but I put that up because I will be putting folks' comments up as they come in and make them. We only got one eyeball. We'll wait a couple minutes before we get into really talking about what we're going to talk about. But first, why don't we start with, we know the pandemic is going, it's going strong, it's big in America, and we've even talked that with our shows, with our HAMTAG Light Top 5, we are going to practice social distancing, and we'll give it a roll, and we'll be doing this live next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do it at the same time, 10 o'clock. I still like recording on set. Quality is a little bit better. Yeah, going live saves me editing time, but with where we're at and social distancing, live is perfect. The tech's perfect. We'll be dealing, the max right now is StreamYard 720p. We get it. We can't add photos. I get it. So, but we'll be doing that. Some more folks are in. All right, let me wrap or let me break down what we'll be doing in this show, and we'll make sure we introduce ourselves again. We're going to talk about what's on our table now. We're, of course, going to go reference what the fans listed in the YouTube comments as their top 5 card-assisted war games. And when we get to that, I'll have you redefine it. Although it's good, it's a good one, but we'll have it redefined. We'll talk about things we've been playing as well. So I'm a little bit weird on that. I've got a war game on the table that I'm working toward a review on, but I've been gaming with the family with some different stuff with everybody home. Let's see. I'll talk about some new stuff that came in. Judd will talk about what's on his table and what he's been doing. And we had another thing. What else are we going to talk about, Judd?
Oh, ideas for future HAMTAGs.
Very nice. Yeah, near the end of the show, after we've gone through fan comments and things, and we're going to we'll take in comments, try to save them for that period of time so we can focus on the comment stream then. We'll, of course, re-reference this, but if somebody has an idea, we have a couple ideas, plans that we were going to do coming together for a couple top 5s, but since we're doing it live, we thought, why not solicit the viewers, and if they have a topic, that actually may become what we do on next week's live show. Let's see real quick who's in. We've got Sub Commandant 73, sound and picture all okay. Perfect. Thank you for that. And a brief here. He's on lockdown, or she. I'm going to say he, just with the Mr. T combo there. Lockdown here in the
I
UK.
like the monocle on Mr. T. That is sweet.
And the tea. It looks like a
golden sip of tea. What else?
Yeah, a golden teacup with salsa.
Yeah, you know, remember Mr. Coffee, the coffee makers Joe DiMaggio endorsed?
I do.
And they have a tea maker, and I always called it the Mr. T.
Perfect. So a lot of nerd cred there for that Mr. T. I like it. Yeah, look at that.
Resistance is futile.
Yes, the Borg Cube coffee cup. I've got a little Disney one that I think my wife had gone to their hotel, I believe. But that's going to remind me to talk about the Mandalorian as well. Let's see. Let's do a little bit more of a roll call. Then we'll
what that last one say about Team Yankee?
Where were we at? Right here. Team Yankee plastic kits.
Team Yankee. Is that like the book?
It's got to be Clancy's book is what I'm thinking about.
Not Clancy.
That was Clancy. No, you're right.
Not Clancy.
You're right. That's
it is. Woohoo! Oh, yeah. Inside of my game.
That is Clancy. A Clancy book, though.
Nope. Harold Coyle.
Oh my goodness! How did I do that? I just stole credit.
Made sense though.
My goodness! I read that right around the same time I think I read Hunt for Red October. I love that book. And actually, when I joined the Army, I made sure I wasn't a tanker. And then that was wrong because tankers is the safest place to be, actually. It scared me reading that one.
Yeah, that's one of the games that game works through the scenarios of the book. And I tried and it's programmed rules. So you learn it as you go. That's one of those little projects I want to get on. I played one of the intro scenario, but I really want to go through and try them all out, and because I still remember the book pretty well. It's a pretty cool idea.
That is very cool. Hi from Belgium.
And hi to John Connor. I saw his comment. So
yeah, John Connor was in there. Sorry, flashback when I blew the whole team.
He's second today. He's slipping.
He's second. He's usually first, man.
He's usually first.
Oh, we're gonna pop back over. Look at that. There's John Connor. He is here. He is present. All right, let me work through, and we've got. I usually rework my phonetic pronunciations before I start. Joao, I think I'll go with Carlos. I can do your middle name, Carlos. Let's see. We got Van Overbay. Hey, guys.
Hey.
And he's laughing.
He had a game in one of our top fives. Greg had it in there.
Beautiful.
Space game.
I
really
know
cool
exactly. Yes, we've talked recently, so more on that in the future. Yeah, that was Moonshot.
Moonshot, bingo.
Yeah, and he's got a reworked. My understanding, I haven't seen it yet, but he's got a reworked version and some other things coming out.
Cool.
Let's see, Jason Martin. Look at this. Canada is in the house.
Cool.
Sorry about all the 3M stuff going on there. I saw that in the news.
Hey, Chattanooga. I used to live out in Oak Ridge. I've been down there. Went up to the Lookout Mountain.
See, Lookout, anytime someone says Lookout Mountain, I grew up in Evergreen, Colorado, and there was a Lookout Mountain there when you go down I-70. It always
that Battle in the Clouds takes place in that area.
I know, and I've got that, the game even from Multi-Man Publishing has the Battle Above the Clouds.
Mm-hmm. Wargame based on the book. Cool.
Love it. All right, we got Charles Latora. Hello from not sunny SoCal. Wow, really? I thought it was always perfect down there. Panic Games. Hi, guys. I'm going to work through some more. Right on Kingsport originally. Okay. All right, I think we're caught up on comments. I'll go back and roll call through, and as comments come in, we'll highlight them. And again, don't forget, I know some folks came in a little bit later. Near the end of the show, we're going to take some comments on potential top 5 live show that we're going to do next Saturday. So Judd and I had a couple topics we were going to do. I won't mention those at this point. We'll either use them next Saturday or one of them, or we'll go with one of the fan-suggested comments because we are going to do HAMTAG Light, top 5, whatever, live next Saturday to continue to show and do social distancing.
Yeah, feel free to throw any topics out, but if you say the top 5 battles of Jenkins' ear, I don't have any games, let alone 5.
That's right. Top 5 Starship Troopers scenarios. I've got the game. I've never played. I love the movie. All right.
Everything's open, but I don't necessarily can't do it. I remember the time you wanted to do the top 5 worker placement. And I got on TV and went through their list. Yes. And I didn't have 5. I thought Puerto Rico would have been my 5th, but they're like, no. Your Wargamers are very specific. It's not worker. I was like, okay, whatever. I can't do it.
See, worker placement is my favorite Eurogame mechanic. I love worker placement. I love it. Somebody did reference a war game that was going to be using worker placement, and maybe there's even one out there. I'm scratching my head trying to think of it, but there was at least a prototype being worked on where I don't know how it was, like you kind of pledged in guys to go do certain things or whatever. It was a little bit more high level.
Much there.
When is my review?
All backwards from what I'm used to. So there, I'm left from Southpaw today. Midway.
When is my review of Midway film coming out? So that was JB's Gandalf's suggestion that we actually break down, and I had an idea on this, maybe our top 5 things we liked and top 5 things we didn't like about the Midway movie. What do you think of that, Judd? Because I haven't pitched that particular idea.
The reason I'm laughing is, have you ever watched The Critical Drinker? He's a YouTuber.
No.
He's a Scottish dude. He's very insightful, but he puts on this act like he's sauced when he gives us. He's pretty funny. I was thinking, oh, go away now. Anyways.
All right. Well, we will think of that because I like the idea.
I can't pull it off. Plus, I'm not very good at being slosh because you know me, I'm too young.
Not the slosh part, the Midway part.
Oh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
Because that was us talking about the Midway movie in one of our rabbit trails. So, but there's Lords of Waterdeep, which is a phenomenal worker placement game in the D&D world, which was a great way to pull that off. All right. Let's do this. We'll come back to, well, we mentioned we would say what's on your table right now, and then we'll do what some other stuff later after the fans list. What do you got?
See how this comes in. Woo, there.
Hold on. Let me bring you into full screen.
Napoleonic 20, 100 Days 20. It's part of a system. I think Joe Miranda created it with Victory Point Games. And then GMT they did some type of collaboration where GMT did 4 of the games put in one. And I traded for this. And when I opened it up, it had, I hope I'm saying this right, I think it's Yenna 20. It looks like Jenna. I was watching a documentary on it, and the guy said Yenna, so I figured he knew more than me. Anyway, so I've been going through these because they use a common rule book. So I have this one set up right now and getting ready to do the next ones. And I had Yenna going. I was playing solitaire. Then my buddy Rob wrote and said, hey, we should play this on Vassal. So I do what I do. I open the module, said, and then I redid the whole module and just sent in the first play yesterday.
Got it. So on my table, and I'm working through, is Agents of Mayhem from Academy Gaming. So this one's been on there for a while. I will tell you that police-wise, last week was very busy for me. We've had this uptick in gang-related shootings. Some people hit, most people not, and they're using rifles. I'm talking about scenes that spread 3-4 blocks with 223 or 7.62. So this game has been sitting on my table as I work through setup, understanding the rules, mechanics, and getting into the scenarios. But I'll usually come home at night and kind of play through something. And I've been, I worked 4 hours overtime on one because I had to draw a search warrant, a bunch of other stuff. But work has kept me from getting in some more gameplay. But this looks, I don't know. I like that there's some cube usage in here that Judd would call your Wargamer, but it's just a way to track.
I got games with cubes.
You do. I'm not.
That game about the dude from Germany that we don't want to say his name and get you demonetized that we had last week in Card Assisted.
You will not be monetized. That is an actual title of a game. It won't get. That's Hitler's Reich. We're not advocating for said thing. If anything, we advocate for the taking down of such thing.
There you go.
So you're so afraid to say it. You cannot fear the verbal.
Coin games have cubes. Plenty of games with them. Pericles.
That's good. I like Chris Taylor's avatar there with old Teddy. Old Teddy right there.
Hey, Chris. That's. I think that's the same. I hope it's the same, Chris. Nemo's War.
Ooh,
that's him, designer.
Wow, nice.
Also, Astra Titanus. Excellent games.
Look at you. You're so good with that. You're like my co-host on the Scotch Whiskey Show. He just pulls names. I forget. I'm not sure I'm talking to Judd. I don't even recognize Judd.
Dude, I say his name on a game. It's usually I got to get it. So
perfect. I love his avatar. I feel like we're getting ready. We're getting ready to trust bust is what I feel like we're getting ready to do right there. Yep. Thank you. All right. Cool. He says, "Yep. Good job."
Woohoo!
Let's roll in. I'm going to screen share real quick. Let me get this all set up. What are they doing? I don't need that tip. I just need to work over to my Chrome tab and go right into my comments, and we should be in. Let me know if that looks all right from your side, Judd, because I've got it full screen for me. So right off the top, I've pinned Greg's. So Greg's part of our full HAMTAG. And I did love the idea that if Greg's ever on, and we were to have a fourth guest come in, we would be HAMTAG heavy. Just saying. I love that idea. I can't credit who said it. So here's Greg Schmidtken's, his top 5. He had an addendum to this too, but we're going to cover this now. So his 5 is, and I'm going to read it in total because they're great comments. Storm over Stalingrad. Area movement for the city. Trying to keep with the stated criteria, the cards don't actually move units. They provide bonuses such as allowing an attack after movement or simulating an air attack or artillery barrage to soften the defense. Tactical, tough for the Germans to win. Strategically tough for the Russians, the Russian morale to handle the losses.
That's an interesting concept that you can bid and say, I will take so many of the victory point areas. So, you're not going to take them all and you're not getting to the Volga. But,
right.
It's kind of one of those, you just place your bids, name that tune type of thing.
I love it.
So you could make it pretty easy for the Germans to win if you get a little too aggressive.
I love it. Now, Greg surprised me with his number 4 here, Black Orchestra. So, cooperative game to try and kill Hitler. See how I said that out loud there? Again, the basic
bad man, Jetty.
The basic player action is to move around Berlin and the fighting theaters throughout Europe. The cards provide bonuses, conduct a search at the end of movement, recover misplaced or lost items, take extra actions. It's a 5-way balancing act, motivating the assassins, lowering the suspicion of Hitler and his deputies, reducing the military support, defense for Hitler, gathering the plans, tools, and contacts to attempt an assassination, and moving to get close to the target. A definite group rush when you succeed. Love that entry there. Makes me want to go. I almost got it at a con and then they sold out when it first came out. 3 is coin games in general.
I would thought that would have been on your list.
Which one? Coin?
Whatever your favorite coin notes are. Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been a good one. I mean, it definitely, we'll see it fits after even reading Greg's comments here. Again, the basic game mechanics handle movement. Doing card events in lieu of normal operations and actions results in bonuses, free movement, perform an attack after a sweep, increased rally efficiency. Coin games are often frustrating because, and I love his explanation here, the pace is different from most war games. In many war games, the units are on the map and the turn consists of moving and then fighting with the units. In a typical coin game, you have to get the units onto the map, move them where they are needed, locate and activate a hidden enemy, then attack, each of which requires a separate turn while being lured by enticing events or constrained by the opposing players. In my opinion, the key to success is realizing all the players are moving at the same pace. I thought that last sentence was brilliant because that is why I hear the frustration.
He told me that a long time ago, that it has a deliberate pace, very deliberate. I thought, boom, that's it. Because when there's a hole, you can't exploit it. We're used to, there's a hole, let me shoot my armor through there and surround them. Can't do it. It takes too many plays to pull that off.
Got it. I'm pouring coffee here. If you hear the pouring noise, that's simply coffee. The fires of Midway. Of course, this is a duplicate from our list. Judd gave a description of the game, so Greg says, I'll just add a few thoughts. The key to the game is handling the fighter aircraft on your carrier.
Mm-hmm.
The attack aircraft are suitably deadly. The trick is using and maintaining limited fighter assets for escort and cap. I prefer the Coral Sea over Santa Cruz, perhaps because it's a little earlier chronologically. I haven't played the Nimitz scenario. The Stephen Cunliffe game, most like Fires of Midway, is the Hell of Stalingrad.
Yep, that's the first game in that series.
All right. Another battle in the heart of the city, but the cards kind of do move units between and within the sectors. So I, meaning Greg, didn't feel it fit the list criteria. This is where Greg shines, I'm telling you. I think Greg obviously would have been all over this list. Not that you don't shine everywhere, Greg. Number 1, Rebel Raiders on the High Seas made a HAMTAG appearance sometime back as my number 1 U.S. Civil War game.
That has made like 3 or 4 appearances, and thanks to him, I got it back there now. I got to learn it, but
beautiful. Almost breaks the criteria for the list because a few cards do allow additional moves by the Union player. But most cards provide bonuses like individual ship characteristics. The gunboat may withstand more damage. That raider may move faster to elude capture, or additional economic capability. I like the naval spin it puts on the war. All right, let me go through with some other ones. Those are great. Anything on those comments from Greg before I move on to some of the other fan lists?
Not really. He nailed the fires of Midway. Yeah, when I said the Santa Cruz, I was just talking about a lot of people want to jump into Midway first, and you're managing 4 ships. You know, for the Japanese, you are. For America, it's 3 ships in Midway, which acts like a ship, basically a launch point. Right. And you find out the game really goes long. And I was saying for your introduction, while you're fighting with the rule book, the rule book's real easy, but while you're learning it, I'd recommend a very small one. Then as you get more comfortable and faster, pick them up. But if you jump in the Midway one, you might come off with a little bit of sour taste just saying it's really long game, and it's not as long as it seems.
Got it. Let me see. There were some comments on Cromwell. Folks miss seeing Greg on the show. I'm trying to, let's see. Well, there's Van with Moonshot, his Moonshot reference. So you can see he's licensed, and he published through Worthington, or is published by Worthington, called Tranquility Base. Let me see. There's Subcommandant. HAMTAG Light is getting me through the lockdown. Boom. So he pities the fool. Sorry, I had to look again. All right, let me see. We had some clean lists, but let's see. I got lost when I tagged. I pinned that one to the top. Let's see. What does John say here? Thanks for the list, and it made me want to play some of them, many of them. As to HR Judd, I tried the video. Now, I forget. What is the HR?
Oh, the game I never say the name of because of demonetizations. I'll let you monetize yourself, bud. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, Hitler's Reich. It's a game.
Okay.
It's a true point in history. It was funny because when I read that, I couldn't figure out what he was talking about. I tried the video, and it made it worse. The game is played incorrectly in the video. I hope he's not talking about mine. And there is there's no Klingon subtitles or corrections. While I appreciate the effort put into the video, for me it made it worse. I agree on the BGG file section. Very helpful items there.
Yeah, I was kind of saying the video will give you a quick. I mean, he got parts of it. I mean, I don't know where the air was, but I know parts I remember he had, right? But it just kind of, if you're curious about it, watch his video and say, hey, that kind of sounds cool. Yeah, I like that. If you're like, nah, that ain't for me, then you know right away. Then the next step was to jump into that rule book, as far as learning the game.
I thought that this was a great comment from Mark in reply to Dice Games. He wanted to know, Judd, if you'd tried any of the Song of Blades and Heroes miniatures game, Flying Lead, Song of Drums, and Shakos. Choosing how many dice to roll to activate a unit is one of the core mechanics. Have you? I have not. Oh, I see you said no.
If you're talking about like Warhammer type of miniature games, closest I've got to any of that Space Hulk. Okay. I've got games that's like Dudes on a Map, but yeah, that's a level of dedication far above what I have. I mean, I haven't painted anything since I was like 7th grade for model airplanes and stuff.
Got it. Same here for me. I like B. Palmer's comment. This quarantine has got me feeling husky. I'm eating so much, I'm going to have to waddle out of the house in 3 weeks. I said, that's just fighting weight. So that was in regards to the Husky code word for the attack. All right, Ronald Nicholson, who I've met, fan of the show, great guy. His top 4 card-assisted cards don't move units. He reiterates the rules here. War games couldn't come up with 5, so he had a hard time with this list as well. But his number 1 is RAF Eagle, German solo. 2, Mosby's Raiders, which I bought as a kid.
I used to have that.
Me too. And, it didn't quite trigger for me. I played it several times as a kid, but Tokyo.
That's the only Victory Games rule book I ever struggled with. I don't know why. I kept having to reread, and it just, it wasn't clicking that well. I got through it, but most Victory games, they had these really high complexity levels, but the rules were just second to none.
Right.
Mark Herman told me it was Bob Ryer, the editor, who was really, really good at that.
Yeah,
but,
that's what you're saying. I love that.
Yeah, that was the oddball that I really struggled with that. So
I need to have Bob Ryer on the show just to talk about how he did that.
RAF, is that the Butterfield game?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Eagle side is the German solo, and then I can't remember because you can play either side.
Okay.
Tokyo Express 4 Night Fighter Ace, Gregory Smith game.
Tokyo Express I'm prepping it. I've been reading the rules at night, and I got a couple of weeks of furlough coming up, so I thought, hey, why not? That's tackle the beast.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm looking forward to see if you want to do a review on that. Not that you have to, totally up to you, but I've got that sitting on the shelf and been scared. I just look at it. I like this as a comment from Pearson. Hey, Judd, next time you talk with Mark Herman, ask him if he ever thought about a game on Yorktown. As important as Yorktown is, I don't know of any games covering it. What you think?
There is one game, and it has really, really horrific comments. I mean, as far as it's one of the lowest rated games on BGG.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know of it when I was doing my, when I first got into BGG and started studying, looking for what was out there in American Revolution. I saw that. The Command and Colors Tricorn has the Yorktown, I forget the readout, I forget the number. It's the one Alexander Hamilton charged. When I did Bardius Con a couple years ago, I played that scenario and I was using references to Hamilton the musical. Using lines from it, but that's a pretty good scenario. But that's about the only thing. I haven't seen any games out there.
All right, perfect. Dipsy Doozy says, "Wow, a tough list for me as well. I believe I only have 3 card-assisted war games. Heroes of Normandy is number 1. Number 2 is Pensacola GMT games, Battles of the American Revolution series. And 3 is Blackbeard, the Golden Age of Piracy."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's that. I had that on my number 1 on Naval games. Richard Berg game. Love that game.
Yeah, it's a Berg game. The GMT one was a reprint because he did his original one with Avalon Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually considered putting it up there. I was like, it's funny. Is it a war game? Is it not a war? My buddy Wendell said he calls it an honorary war game. I was like, yeah, I like that. You could also say it's so thematic. You could almost stick in the mirror trash can. It's one of those hybrids that fit into multiple categories. But I thought I have talked about it before. I'll give a little love to another game and say, I'm going to call it a not a war game this week just so I can give something else some love.
Have you compared and contrasted the Avalon Hill version to the GMT version?
I have not. I've just heard from I don't think I've ever heard anybody say GMT's better, but I've heard a lot of people say Avalon Hill's better. But I don't know. If you like the GMT, hey, I don't know what the differences were.
Deploribus Rex says he's digging the Boba Fett shirt. That's my other one. But I've got this one today, and we've just finished, as I said earlier, watching The Mandalorian. Not that it's Boba Fett, but it's definitely fetish. Ooh, did I just do that? Fetish?
Demonetized.
Not if you're wearing a mask. Let's see. K-Bar 54 says, this is a hard list. Other than a couple that you guys mentioned, I only have one, and it's my favorite of my youth, Grand Imperialism. This really needs to be reprinted by someone.
You know, that thing about card assisted earlier, Pensacola. I had that thought. I wonder what there was in that. I've had 5 games in that series. I never had Pensacola, but I wonder what was card assisted. There was unless you count. There's tactic chits in there. Maybe they had cards, which that would work. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I'm not familiar with it.
Got it. And here is Joan Carlos. Hello, Bart and Judd. Very nice list with somewhat rare items. He has Axis and Allies D-Day, whose cards totally determine turn sequence and some alternate events, etc. About game companies, the gamer's still around there. I simply love Stalingrad Pocket, 2nd edition. Let's see. We've got Phil Hatfield. Let me open this up further. He's got a very interesting list. Boy, talk about narrowing the field substantially for him. He's got very few games where the game is, quote, assisted by cards. Rules out so many games that are much better, so my list is truncated. 4, U.S. Civil War. 3, Blue Max, World War I Air Combat. 2, Star Wars X-Wing. Yeah, it's space, but I count it. And 1, Blocks in the West / Blocks in Africa / Blocks in the East.
I think I put a comment. I forgot all about the U.S. Civil War.
Yep, you did. Great choice. Forgot about that is what you added in there. And Blue Max got some love too. Sean Thompson even blinged his copy of that out with Wings of Glory biplanes. So no enemies here. That's Dan Pancaldi. He just bumped in there to say, sup, gentlemen. Sup. I need to thumb that right now. Let's see. Tom Knight. Hi, Judd and Bart. Another great show. I'm glad I have Coral Sea safely at home. Thanks for that tip several years ago, Judd.
Woohoo!
Yeah, big high five. So his number one.
Tom's the guy gave him a shout out a couple weeks ago. He's the guy that's in town on a conference. So he came by the house and we played a couple of games, including Tricorn.
Sweet. I like his avatar is Here I Stand from GMP.
Yep.
That's Martin Luther there on the side. Number 1, Coral Sea. Number 2 is Lord of the Rings Risk. Very nice. 3 is Star Wars Risk. I've actually played that. We enjoyed that as well. Star Wars Miniatures is number 4. He says the wheel determines movement, but the cards assist in various ways. And then this is all I have now, unless Fading Glory would work here. But on another topic, do you think we will
Fading Glory? That's a game I just have on the table. Yeah, it works. It definitely doesn't drive your movement. You have a unique movement phase.
Very cool. And he has a good question here. Do we think that we as a gaming culture, wargaming culture, will lose some game companies due to the shutdown and recession following? He's guessing GMT can weather this storm, but there are some small companies that might not. Just wondering, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, a lot of these companies are side gigs. You know, it's not their primary job. It's something they do on the side. So I don't think a lot of those guys, like I knew that Grant at Worthington had a day job. I think he's retired now, but so he gets to do more with that. But that's, a lot of these guys, that's not their primary source of income. It's their hobby.
I agree. And I actually think that some of the spare time or home time allows for more gameplay, not less.
Yeah. Might hurt guys like Hasbro and Parker Brothers more.
I don't know, though. A lot of my wife through K-State's even put up a little gaming challenge to try to play 2 games a week as a family, and she's had all kinds of folks loading pictures to that and everything. So I will say a silver lining to this COVID-19 is in my neighborhood. I don't know about you, Judd, or the rest of the folks watching. I see a lot of families out walking together and doing all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, have you seen that where you live? I know you live on the east-north side of town.
Yeah, definitely. We got a neighborhood area, so it's it's nice to cul-de-sac stuff like that to walk in. So yeah, we go out. My wife and I go out walking. Sometimes I'll do it on my lunch hour at work because you're right there. You can get some bright sunlight while you're out. So yeah, see somebody coming, get on the opposite side of the road. But yeah, I've seen some folks out.
That's cool. My work, I've actually, with some of the shootings, I got a lot closer to folks than would be considered. Let's just say I wasn't socially distancing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like hands up, get on the ground.
My wife told me today something about violent crimes being up with this. I would have thought it would have been down.
All other crime lines are down. I just got the brief on it, but we've had a couple different gangs going at it, and boy, they just are shooting at each other. We can't believe they're not hitting. I'm telling you, I worked a deal yesterday. There were 35 5.56 rounds fired with shell casings spread over 2 blocks. As it was a running, driving gun battle.
Huh.
Luckily, they were working up a hill, so a lot of their rounds were striking the road, not traveling into the neighborhood. But
okay.
Probably
the road rage is way down.
Yeah, there's not enough people out there. You can just you can merge at your pleasure.
Yeah.
Edmund here blocks him, says, I'm going to use, well, I'll say it. Damn it. You had to do a video on my favorite game mechanic in any game. I love this. We hit Edmund's sweet spot. I don't need more stuff on my wish list. You guys need to make worse videos. Make worse videos, Judd.
Hey, let's get that worker placement one going.
There you go.
I'll give you my worst 5 since party games.
Yes. Yeah. No, we need to do party games part 2 for Judd.
Oh, please.
He wants to do 5-minute werewolf instead of the full werewolf.
Hey, you know something I'm surprised hasn't popped on people's list is War of the Ring, because I know I usually throw it in the Mayor Trash category, but yeah, you could definitely call it a war game, and it's definitely card assisted.
All right. Let's see. I think David K was giving me a bit of he was giving me a little bit of an elbow nudge there with what? The old classic World War I fighter plane game Dogfight from Milton Bradley didn't make the list. So I think Judd, though, says great catch. So you've actually played this?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll go grab it.
All right. I'll need to pop out and come back to you. So let me stop the sharing. Let's see what Judd's getting here real quick. Let me come back in. Whoop, wrong deal. There we go. Judd's running around. I'm going to bring it to me full screen until we get to see Judd, and I can come up here like this. Here, I can show you some more of that. There we go. I forget what this genre, this is like bending it with some other show, but I am a Boba Fett.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Let me share out the screen.
Got to back this thing up some. It's a big game.
I'm going to bring you in. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Remember that one?
Yeah, I do. I do remember the triplane, the Fokker triplane was in there. Right?
It's not the triplane. I think it's the DR7.
Really? They don't have the Red Barons plane in there?
Well, he flew a bunch of them, but that was I think it's called the DR7. It's a Fokker. It came after the triplane.
Oh, look at that.
Sorry.
All right. We're going long.
Yeah, I told you I had cool Johnny Cash ringtone. Okay, there we go. I'm on mute now.
You got to let that play, though. Is that Folsom Prison?
Nah, that's Cocaine Blues. Anyway, that's the one that the Germans had at the end. I think it was supposed to be like maybe the best fighter in the whole war. I just watched some documentaries on who had, top 10 list of top 10 fighters from World War I. That was rated pretty highly. Might have been DR1. I think it was DR7. I don't remember, but yeah, it was a biplane. So that's what that was.
Let me pop in on some of the comments since I can't see them when I'm screen sharing. John's got Tricorn, the only CNC game I never played.
Highly, highly, highly recommend that one.
Andrew Frank says, great list by Greg. He loved Greg's list. Let's see. Let's get MD on here. And you know what? I'm going to try. I don't have the phonetic pronunciation up. It's Kirezis. Gosh, I think I blew it. Sorry, MD. I needed to pop that up to remember. I told you I'm terrible with names and pronunciation. With a name like Brunscheen, you think I'd be better. I've got a little Rampur coffee going here. No whiskey in it.
Did you finish the YouTube comments?
I didn't. We'll pop back in, but
Okay.
I wanted to hit a few of these comments before I go back, just because I can't see them.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed Black Orchestra, says Panic Games. Anytime it updates, it pops on me and I lose my spot on the list. Let's see. We'll come back to some of that. Let me hit the bottom. Daniel, would Avalon Hill's Freedom in the Galaxy qualify for assisted?
I've never played it. I've heard it's Star Wars in a box, basically the original.
Yep. I haven't played it either, but
wait, was that Avalon Hill? I thought this was SPI.
I think it was Avalon Hill because they were kind of capitalizing on the Star Wars thing going on.
Okay, because Star Wars came out right in the middle of SPI. You know, I think SPI went under in like 81 or something. So Star Wars came out, I think 77.
Got it. Tom had a comment here. He hopes they don't shut down. Just wondering. So
okay.
I don't think they will. Tide of Iron should count. It would totally count.
Oh yeah, great game.
Just didn't fit in on our list. There is something card assisted if the card's not played. Yeah, still could be. I'm thinking of Tide of Iron. Yep, you're in there. We just mentioned that, where the card is merely displaying on the ability that the player pays into to activate. Totally. The Conflict of Heroes, which someone had a real long post. Of course, I think I showed the screen or the box for the Polish battles, and they said there's no cards in there. You use the ones from Awakening the Bearer, Storm. Yeah, but I should have. My intent was just a COH series. And sometimes in there you won't use the cards. Like there's an auto rally that's just beautiful to have, but if you don't end up getting a unit that's needs it, you don't end up using the card, obviously. So let's see. I'm going to pop back into the list about Fight a Galaxy from SPI. Galaxy from SPI. Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's so anybody, the fans are always more intelligent than me. Learned that a lot.
They have access to BGG popping.
Well, that's true too. That's true too. But off the top of their head, I know they're going to be sharper than I am. I can't even remember Judd's name half the time. All right, let's see. Let's pop back into the comments right where we were. It should be. Yeah, let me see what else is in here. There was only 3 comments, actually, which is just fine on BGG. We'll hit those. I think a lot of the fans that read the list as they come out on BGG are coming over to the comments. The best place to post is the comments. And the easiest way to make sure you get yours read is to list them, as you'll see some of the folks do, 1 through 5. What is this one here from Paul? Hey, Bart, thanks for the review. Just heads up. Yeah, this is Paul Thibodeau. He's the one that mentions that Price of Honor, which is the Polish Conflict of Heroes side, didn't actually come with cards in the box. It still uses those cards, but you got to use them from a different game if you want to have them in. You don't have to use the cards, but it definitely adds in the fog of war element, makes it a lot more flavorful. There's Greg with a bonus list. Let's get this in here. I can't pin both of them, but I like it's got Moonshot in it, so I know somebody will like that. Bonus list, 5 historical card-assisted games that are not war games. So this is Greg's bonus here. The list of historical games, not the dreaded Euro games, no wingspan here. We'll try to keep the spirit of the original HAMTAG criteria. I consider the Twilight Struggle 1989 Europe in Turmoil Labyrinth genre to be card-driven by this HAMTAG definition. There's a number and an event on each card. The number is used to place or move something on the map, units, influence, etc., or you can use the event. The games listed below use cards in a different way. So here we go with Moonshot, Race to the Moon. While there are some event cards to facilitate actions or mess with the other players, the majority of the cards are the launch vehicles, modules, and equipment to complete specific Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo missions. As you complete missions, you gain fuel, which lets you perform larger missions. 4, Campaign Manager, 2008 Obama-McCain election. I can never say sola fide. 1500 struggle between the papacy and the the Protestants. Hello, can't speak. The cards are a semi-random subset of larger deck. Draw 3, pick 1, do that 15 times. Those are the cards you get for the whole game. Each card allows you to place influence in a state/area, focus on specific issue, or appeal to a segment of the population. Eventually, the states, areas commit to support one side or the other. I think I have that Solo Fide game too. 3, Churchill, Big Three conferences during World War II. The cards represent the support staff advising the Big Three on how to prioritize the issues involved in winning the war. The personalities may provide general guidance or enhanced information in their field of expertise or interest. Ernest King focuses on the Pacific Front as an example.
You know, I actually when I was doing the list, Churchill loved the game, but I was like, even Mark Herman wrote right on the box, it's not a war game. So
right,
like Greg's saying, not war game. Then it got me wondering about Pericles.
Yes,
and I pondered that one long and hard, and I thought, it's not moving pieces on the map, but the cards on the debate part are pretty well driving half the action of that game. And I thought, I'll just go elsewhere. It's a great game, but I mean, it's just like, I didn't know, so I just kind of left it off just because I wasn't sure.
Got it.
That's a good point.
Good. Number 2, Pax Porfiriana. I have that. I love the Pax series, even though for me, I can't really get them on the table. I need to remedy that. But earlier 20th century revolution in Mexico, the cards represent the businesses, personalities, and organizations involved in trying to topple the president from power. The businesses provide the economic power to recruit the support of other businesses and entities, as well as agents. 2, you guessed it, mess with the other players. Nothing like using a pile of cash to entice the Catholic Church to help you throw El Presidente out of the office. I'm just telling you, that's awesome that's a game. 1, Wings for the Baron. Greg loves this game. Historical companies building aircraft for Imperial Germany during World War I. The cards represent the technology advances to keep technology advances to keep your aircraft ahead of the curve as you gain more government contracts. The cards also allow things like getting a famous ace to your aircraft, increasing your influence, or ensuring an attempt at industrial espionage succeeds. Bunch of comments with people liking Greg's list, and that rounds out the end of that. Let me come back and pop back over here. We're back in, and I will pop over briefly. We'll look at comments, and then there's only 3 comments over on the BGG stream. You want to run over to that right now and knock it out, Judd?
Oh, sure.
I'll pop over. What comments do you or are you pulling it over? I didn't mean to confuse there.
Oh, I'm in the BGG Wargamer section.
Here, I'll share it out. What else is on your mind?
It says basically great video with Storm Over series work, and yeah, definitely. That's Greg had answered him, and that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, we've got Eric Walters. Great way he's got this list broken out. All solid contenders without a weak sister in the bunch. So a good episode. What are my top 5 card-assisted war games, says Eric. And I'm not going to read everything on it, but we've got number 1 is Old School Tactical from Flying Pig Games and Lock and Load. 2, Sekigahara, I believe the Unification of Japan from GMT. Number 3 is Friedrich. Number 4 is, I don't know how to pronounce that. How is that? That's the city, right? Ligny 1815?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't want me pronouncing much anything with Napoleonic games.
Got it.
What was that one that we couldn't say, either one of us? Borodino. I think Greg says like Borodino or something, but yeah.
Right.
I just
Last
looking
Eagles.
like a Kansas hick when I try to say Napoleonic titles.
Me too. Number 5, 1776, and Caesar's Legions by Avalon Hill. Those tactic cards, remember them. Let's see. I think we've got Colin. It says, you imagine that Husky was chosen to encourage the idea in German minds of a landing in Norway. And then Andrew says, love Friedrich. Also old school tactical. So there's a mirroring our comments on the list above, along with Sekigahara. Another solid game. Cheers. Look at that freeze frame. There's my favorite Boba Fett. And, Judd's making a point right there. I love that.
Got that Hamilton shirt looking pretty sweet.
That's right. I love the glow there. So let's see. Let's come back in. Boom. All right. So let's see.
Here's something we spoke of earlier. Remember that?
Yeah, let me zoom in on you so they can see that better.
We spoke last week. So who was that? You said it was like a tiger eating a tank tread for their logo.
Yeah, I know, and I can't remember.
Check this out. This is what I was referring to in that video. I can't see it. There it is. So I hope it's on there.
It is.
The story behind this is when I was about 6th grade, there was a guy lived down the end of the street, and my folks had introduced me to him. He was an older guy, served in World War II. This is about 1980 or so. And I ended up hanging out with him like all summer, fall, stuff like that, under a shade tree. He taught me how to whittle, and he'd tell me stories. And this thing was a guy in his unit, and he said he was really talented artist, as you can tell, and they just had a lot of downtime. So he took a magnifying glass on there just when they doing nothing and burned this image into it, the whole thing. And I mean, there's so much detail, not just the artwork of the patch. That was the patch on from their group. It says at the top, I can't read, it's in cursive, really nice font, something Germany. I don't know if that's Allen, Germany or something. But then at the bottom it says 3rd Army 635 TDBN Tank Destroyer Battalion. No, that was their patch. So when you mentioned that, I remembered it right away. Anyways, he passed away a couple years after that, and his widow gave this to me.
So the veteran made that by using a magnifying glass to burn it into the wood?
Burned it into the wood, the whole thing.
Wow, put it up even closer. That's some great detail.
Yeah, and there's the 3rd Army, and let's see. Ooh, there we go. I can't read what the ULM may be Germany. I've always wondered what that said. I figured it's a town or something. But anyways, yeah, that was the patch. Because around that time, my dad and I was collecting patches. You know, it's just cool hobby. You go to Army surplus stores, and you knew veterans, and they just so it's a pretty cool thing. But yeah, we had that patch. So when you mentioned that description, I said, I bet that's what that is.
I love it. All right, let's see. This will open up. Tom Knight says, a new list for your top 5 asymmetrical games. Apparently, Judd liked it. There was a woohoo there. I was like,
well, my number 1, we talked about we're going to retire some games. So, unfortunately, my number 1 would be one I have to retire because it's in every list.
I know. We still got to do that list, too. We're talking about Judd and I are going to retire 3 games or game title groupings from our list. I don't know. I still want to just do one.
Basically, you just see them over and over and over and over and over. Sure. So it's kind of like, how many times do you want to hear? Let me move over here. Ooh, there we go.
You're good.
Going off the screen. But yeah, so yeah, I was going to retire some. So unfortunately, my number 1 would be one I'd retire.
I know.
A certain American Revolution game made by a certain epic designer.
You're right. And mine may or may not have something to do with the letter B. So yeah, that's something. So let's talk about things we've been playing recently. So I've got a cool thing with
that's a good question there. Is it possible to be both card driven and card assisted? That's the whole card driven thing brings up such a debate. I mean, usually when you hear the phrase card driven, it's kind of it wasn't a great choice of words, because card driven, squad leaders card driven, the Rama in the Desert's card driven, but card driven usually comes from we the people, and then try to define any war games, but right down to the exact, you can't do it. I mean, there's too much overlap between stuff, but it's usually understood that it's rooted in that, which had offshoots, Hannibal, and then Paths of Glory came out and created a whole subset of children off of that thing. Labyrinth, Twilight Struggle. Shoot, there's even one about the presidents, like 1960 or something. So it's not necessarily even war games. But, I tried to get it down to where, but the problem is if you say if it has operations or an event, well, we the people didn't. Neither does Unhappy King Charles, and Charles Vesey explained really, really well in the designer notes of Unhappy King Charles why. It was an intentional design. And but usually it's kind of understood that games come from that. But then if you open up, I even tried to explain the video as I called it upper CDG and lowercase CDG, meaning, the lowercase captured all the command and colors games and things like that. And then the upper CDG was almost like a trademark thing, although it wasn't, but it's kind of understood. So what I did is if I considered them CDGs, I automatically wouldn't even consider the list. But there's a good point. Hey, if Twilight Struggle is a CDG, and I do consider it one, how close is that to Hitler's Reich? Both of them are spreading influence. You mentioned that about, are you moving pieces? Well, you're just really kind of showing I took over this area. Right. And you could win the game theoretically without ever placing a cube if you just hit right with your bombers and they never responded with their U-boats or synthetic fuels or stuff like that. You could theoretically drive their hands to zero. But yeah, it's just tough. There's so much gray area. But my personal thing was if I considered it part of the CDG, I didn't put it in the system. I'm sure if you look around, there's games that probably walk on the fine line of both.
Well, and that's actually the fun of the list, is creating the restrictions. I'll be quite honest. The fun of a top 5 list, even over a top 10 list, is that you really have to start kicking some stuff to the curb, which is even why we're going to permanently retire some of our favorites, because it makes it even tougher to kind of like what comes in. And that was the fun part of this. So I like the ones when you come up with something tough, and then I think I got ideas, and then when I make my spitball list and I go look and I'm like, oh, I'm struggling. That's fun for me. Let's see.
There's one back one comment if you back it up. Oops, one more.
Well, if I go up, it's this. Are you wanting the top 5 list, or what do you want?
Okay, now next one.
Huh?
Because we answered that one.
Right. So are you talking this?
Yeah, right there. Top 5 modern war hypothetical. We did a top 5, what was that? Non-historical war games where we had like Blitzkrieg in there.
Yeah.
And, you remember that one?
I do vaguely. I can't remember my list, but
I think Space Empires 4X, stuff like that. So I don't know. Hypothetical war games could be like Tank on Tank, where you can tell it's World War II, but it's nothing specific. That'd be interesting. I'd have to see if I have 5. I think I do. I mean, Blitzkrieg would definitely qualify because that just screams World War II without being modern war.
I think what he's referencing, is more like Total War series or 1989, or I think that was it. A lot of the like Next War. There's Next War China, stuff like that.
Ooh, I'd have to look. I'm not sure I even have 5 on that. I've never done any of the Next Wars.
Yeah, nor have I.
Gulf Strike was about as close. That was all when Mark Herman came out with that. It was all theoretical. There's a hilarious story on his podcast you have to check out sometime. I don't remember which one I've been looking for since I heard it, about when the actual Gulf War came out. The other one, what was that? The top 5. Shoot, can you back up one again?
Here.
One more. Nope. That guy's comment. Yeah, modern war. That's interesting because I heard a guy give a pretty good rant about he's tired of people calling 1980s modern war. He said our weapons have changed so much that would be like calling modern war World War II back in 1980 or something. It's like
I don't know though. I wonder though. Look, we're still using the A-10, and
B-52s.
I mean, if you really think about it, the F-117 stealth fighter was actually around in 1969. So
Yeah.
I think the issue would be if we were. I think the stuff we don't know about is the stuff we don't know about. So
Yeah.
let's be honest. You want to get the NSA involved, there's got to be satellites that are weaponized. Boom, now Judd's on a list.
We did do a top 5 post World War II go. That was a fun one, which mostly for me was like Korea, Vietnam.
Yes.
Man, I didn't realize I had so many Vietnam games until I just spitballed something about it. Then I think I ended up having enough to make a geek list on it. I had like 14 games on it, or have had in my past.
So let's talk. What have you been playing lately? I'm going to just show. So with Liz, we've been playing this brand new Azul, which is the Summer Pavilion, which is a great, fun, kind of like a tactical strategy game, and it looks beautiful on the table. And having played that, I've told her, would she now be willing to come in and play this with me? So hopefully we can get this on the table and I can play that with her. Some new things that showed up. This is one of my games that never came to fruition that I backed on Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally came out a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So that was interesting. Although I still screwed up with this because I didn't get into their pledge manager and I missed all the group shipping rates. So I ended up paying a very large sum to have this shipped from the UK. That was fun.
Whoa.
And then just came in from France before everything shut down. This is part of the Heroes of Normandy kind of system. And it beautifully packaged scenarios and all this kind of stuff. I love this, and I can't wait to get into that. It's the compendium. So some unboxings I'll be doing, and hopefully I'll be playing 13 days here pretty soon.
I used to have Airborne in your pocket. I had a homemade version that I traded for. The guy did a really good job with it. But I mean, he's come in a little tiny card box, with a thing of instructions. It's interesting. I compared it to, if you remember the old first-person shoot, I guess they still make them, but this dates me. Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, stuff like that.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah, it reminded me of one of those. Because I mean, you could pick up a first aid kit and get some health back.
I love it. Now, what else have you been doing here? Tom's got a comment on 13 Days is great. Lots of tension.
Yep.
Very good. What have you been playing lately?
The Napoleonic 20 series, which is funny. I'm not a real big Napoleon guy, but I'm trying to learn it. That I guess when I see the American Revolution, I can grab any of it and I can fit that battle into the whole history. I see the whole big picture. Napoleon, I don't, and I have not played a strategic level Napoleonic game I've really liked yet. I'm pretty sure that game doesn't exist. I think I'm just not a fan, but the battles are kind of interesting. But I don't understand why this battle was important to what was his campaign. I know, okay, I get Russian why he screwed that up, but like this Jena 20. So I've been getting on YouTube watching some videos trying to figure out why was this battle important, what were they going for. So I did that, and I was just been kind of bumming lately with all the bad news and all. So I just need a kick in the pants to get going. So I'm going to pick up this simple series, and I can just play game after game because I got like 6 games that share the system. So I've been playing that, and what's the thing called? Fading Glory. GMT put out 4 of those, and then I got the Waterloo. I think it's called 100 Days 20. So I'm playing 7 battles off of that, and then after that, that Furlough will kick in here in a few weeks, and I'm going to go after the Tokyo Express.
Perfect. All right, now we'll go down one rabbit hole. So you're 4 episodes in, no spoilers. The Mandalorian. Are you digging Baby Yoda?
Yeah, I hate the memes. I made a comment years ago that anytime you have a meme with a minion on it, it's automatically lame. I've never seen a good one. It's just old people putting something like, "Hey, this is at work when they told me I'm going to have to work an extra hour," and it shows a minion going, it's like something stupid. I'm like, dude, that's the lamest meme ever. And that's kind of what Baby Yoda's become. My kids despise it. Of course, it's funny. Any cool meme I have, they call them boomer memes. I'm sorry. I love the lady going and the cat with the plate in front of him. I got a coffee cup with that cat on it. One of my kids got me, but they would say my stuff's boomer memes. So, but they did say, yeah, they said, "You boomers ruined Baby Yoda." I said, "That's because there ain't nothing you can make a good meme. You're just little dude looking up at you." But yeah, he's pretty cool. I'm curious to know why everybody's after him. Don't spoil it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be continuing. So no spoilers.
Okay, War and Peace. I used to have War and Peace. I think Worthington made it. It was a Risk type. I mean, not a Risk. Axis and Allies type of. I mean, it's good concept. I mean, with this diplomacy and the roles, but I'm just not really a big Axis and Allies guy. But I think I'm guessing talking about the Avalon Hill Classic. But does that sound right? Yeah, I think so.
You are. That's it.
Okay. I'm not familiar with it. I've just heard of it.
I'm looking up, seeing what else I missed. And
probably the best Napoleonic strategic level game I played was the GMT card-driven one. Napoleonic Wars, I think it's called. It's just I can't solo it because it's big. I mean, it's big, and kind of what Greg explained, I think, was that you really need a good French player and an English player. We did it. Boomer was the French, and Greg was the British, and I was just Austrians. And they said, "Whatever you do, don't surrender."
Right. I remember.
So, yeah, I mean, it was cool, but I've heard from people say it's not really historical, so I don't know. Maybe that's why I liked it.
Cool. Let's see. There was this. Gen X, Judd, you're Gen X. Yes, you're not boomer.
I read a great article that said Gen X was born for this moment of closed in, and it talked about how easily we were entertained by stuff like Pong, and we'd stand in line for 3 blocks to get a ticket to Star Wars. And, we have infinite patience. Like, yeah, I really haven't had much of a problem. I've understood it's the millennials and the older folks that are having problems actually staying in. It's like me, nah, I love working from home. It's great.
Any chance they're going to let you continue working from home even when this is over?
No, I don't know. Maybe they want my office.
There you go. We'll pop through a few bit more of these, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up because we're at a hour 7. Here's a big comment here. Black Orchestra sounds very interesting. Replayability, not necessarily a deal killer for me, but how often you see yourself playing after this honeymoon. See, that was
I never played it.
Right. That was Greg's list there. So, all right, let's see. Anything else you want to add in, Judd?
I don't think so. We didn't really get. Oh yeah, we got a few ideas, and then we'll have to kick those around. See what we're going to do next week.
Let me see the one thing that I also wanted to do. Let me do one last screen share because I wanted to thank, and I've got a brand new Patreon supporter that I have not added to this yet. His name is Kevin Ush. I think it's Ushko. But let me do one last quick screen share because I wanted to show the supporters. I think this will take it over. Yep. So here's some of the Patreon supporters. So if you like the show and you wish to support, please come over and do that. But let's come back to us. All right.
Hey, Bart.
Yo.
You want to give a spoiler for the next HAMTAG so people can be thinking, since we're going to shoot it live, they can be thinking of what theirs are?
Go ahead, do it, because we had some great suggestions, but I think we probably go with ours. And why don't you mention the one we're going to do Saturday, or at least that's what we're planning to do Saturday.
Yeah, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 Central?
Yep.
Okay. Top 5. Bart's like, which one are you going to pick? Which one? Top 5 games from the 1980s that were published in the 1980s.
I'm glad you did that. I figured you might, since we were talking about the Gen X.
Yeah. And if you want a good way of doing this, what I did was I went out. When you go to BGG, if you look up Caesar's Legions, you click where it says publisher, Avalon Hill. Then you can do a search by year published. And then you can look through the 80s. And what I did is I went through SPI, who wasn't around too deep in the 80s, TSR, basically a lot of the big companies back then. And I started looking at what did they do in the 80s. Because some of us, I forgot about that.
Yep, West End Games had a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
So,
oh, shoot, I was trying to remember. Yeah, Victory Games.
Trust me. Yeah. Now, we shoehorn in our retirement list here as well?
Yeah. You want to introduce it then, or what? How you want to do that?
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not really an episode to say I'm going to retire these 3 games. It just
maybe we'll open with our retirement, because otherwise I could tell you 2 games that would be in the 1980s list.
Yeah. What would they be?
Yes. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Everybody else with the COVID, continue to play. Hey, if you got solitaire games or you got family at home, it's a perfect way to game. Vassal is awesome. I've talked to Judd about I need to get back into Vassal. I keep saying it. What a perfect time to do it. So thanks.
I'll comment in the links with that Gen X article. It's hilarious.
Beautiful. Thanks again for all the HAMTAGgery that's going on. Thanks for being on live, Judd. Thanks to all the commenters and all the folks that are watching. And appreciate everybody being in here. Let me throw some last comments just real quick. We'll pop through some of these. And I'm going to end the broadcast. Hang tight, Judd. Thanks to everybody. HAMTAG out.